Headspace for Hustlers, the architecture of uncompromising success. Phase 1, the awakening, the questions that kill comfort. Why are you here? No, really. Look at your life right now. Look at your bank account. Look at your daily routine. Look at the reflection in the mirror when nobody else is in the room. Are you genuinely satisfied? Or have you just become a master at negotiating with your own disappointment? Why is it that a tiny fraction of the global population commands the wealth, the freedom, the respect, and the legacy, while the vast majority are left fighting for the crumbs of a system they didn't design? Is it luck? Is it genetics? Were they born into the right family? Or did they possess a secret map that you were never given? Let me tell you the brutal truth, right out of the gate. The difference between the person who wins unconditionally and the person who watches them win from a smartphone screen is not a matter of luck. It is a matter of headspace. It is a matter of a calculated, uncompromising, and relentless mindset. The world is not a playground. It is a competitive arena. Every single day you wake up, an invisible war is being fought. It's a war for resources. It's a war for attention. It's a war for market share. If you are waking up without a strategy, if you are waking up just hoping things will work out, you have already signed your own surrender papers. Most people are NPCs in their own biographies. They take the job they are told to take. They accept the salary they are told they are worth. They buy into the lie that safety is real and that comfort is the ultimate prize. But safety is an illusion designed by the weak to keep the strong from realizing their own power. If you want to break the mold, if you want to command reality instead of being a victim of it, you must dismantle the programming. You need a complete psychological overhaul. You need to transition from the mindset of the hunted to the mindset of the apex predator. This isn't about feeling good. This isn't about cheap, fleeting inspiration that leaves your system the moment you close this video. This is about total dominance. This is about building an empire of the mind so powerful that external circumstances cannot even scratch the paint. Welcome to Headspace for Hustlers. Lock the door, turn us off the distractions, and let's begin. Phase 2, the law of obsession and total immersion. Let's talk about Napoleon Hill. Nearly a century ago, Hill sat down with the wealthiest, most powerful titans of industry, men like Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, and Thomas Edison. He spent 20 years analyzing their habits, their failures, and their triumphs. Do you know what the single, foundational common denominator was across every single multi-millionaire? It wasn't their technical intelligence. It wasn't their formal education. It was what Hill called a definite chief aim, backed by a burning desire. Most people have wishes. They wish they had more money. They wish they drove a better car. They wish they could travel the world. But a wish is a weak, pathetic psychological construct. A wish has no teeth. A wish doesn't keep you awake at 3 a.m. when your muscles are aching and your brain is screaming for rest. The masters of history did not wish. They were obsessed. They possessed an all-consuming focus that bordered on madness to the outside world. When Henry Ford decided he wanted to build the V8 engine, his engineers told him it was mechanically impossible. They told him a one-piece, 8-cylinder engine block couldn't be cast. Did Ford back down? Did he say, "Oh, well, you guys are the experts, let's try something easier"? No. Ford told them, "Produce it anyway." 6 months went by, nothing. Another 6 months went by, nothing. The engineers begged him to quit. They said it was a waste of time and capital. Ford didn't blink. He said, "Go ahead. Keep working. I want it, and I will have it." And because of that unyielding, terrifying clarity of purpose, they found the solution. The world changed because one man refused to accept the word impossible. If you want extraordinary results, you must commit to extraordinary output. Look at the philosophy of Grant Cardone, the 10x rule. If you think a goal requires a certain amount of effort, you need to multiply that estimate by 10. If you think it will take a year, assume it will take 10 times the energy. Most businesses fail, most hustlers go broke, and most dreams die. Not because the strategy was wrong, but because the level of action was profoundly underestimated. You cannot dip your toe into the water of success. You have to dive into the deep end with an anvil tied to your feet. You must be completely consumed by your target. When you look at the elite performers in any industry, whether it's business, combat sports, or creative arts, they don't have work-life balance. Balance is a luxury for mediocrity. The elite have integration. Their mission is their life, and their life is their mission. If people around you aren't calling you crazy, if your friends aren't complaining that you work too much, if your social circle isn't shrinking because you no longer have time for low-value conversations, then you are simply not moving fast enough. You are still playing small. You are still trying to please everyone while trying to conquer everything. It doesn't work that way. True success demands isolation. It demands a season of obscurity where you vanish from the clubs, vanish from the parties, vanish from the gossip, and reappear with a completely different life. Phase 3. The power of absolute control. The Machiavellian mindset. Let's pivot to a deeper, darker, more pragmatic truth. Let's look at Niccolò Machiavelli. For centuries, moralists have condemned Machiavelli's writings. Why? Because he pulled back the curtain on how power actually works, rather than how we wish it worked. He famously wrote that it is far safer to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Now, apply this to the modern hustle. This doesn't mean you go around being a tyrant to your employees or a villain to your clients. It means you understand that respect is the ultimate currency of the marketplace. You cannot build an empire on people-pleasing. You cannot negotiate from a position of weakness and hope that people will treat you fairly out of the goodness of their hearts. The marketplace is entirely indifferent to your feelings. It does not care if you had a bad day. It does not care if your childhood was tough. It does not care if you mean well. The marketplace cares about value, power, and leverage. Look at the modern landscape. Look at the people who command massive attention and wealth today. They understand the Machiavellian principle that visibility is power. If nobody knows who you are, it doesn't matter how good your product is. It doesn't matter how smart you are. Obscurity is the ultimate killer of businesses. You must be willing to step into the arena, command attention, and hold your ground against criticism. Weak individuals crumble the moment the crowd turns against them. They apologize, they retreat, they modify their message to fit the shifting winds of public opinion. But the truly powerful double down. They recognize that controversy creates conversation, and conversation creates capital. They master the optics. They control the narrative. To win in this world, you must develop a thick, impenetrable psychological armor. When people criticize you, when they doubt you, when they actively plot your downfall, you do not get emotional. Emotion is a tactical liability. The moment you get angry, the moment you get hurt, you have handed the remote control of your mind over to your enemy. Machiavelli understood that the prince must be both a fox and a lion. A fox to recognize the traps, and a lion to frighten the wolves. You must be strategic. You must look at life like a chessboard. Every move you make, every word you speak, every partnership you form must serve the overarching objective. If a relationship does not move you closer to your grand vision, if it drains your energy, if it introduces chaos into your routine, you must sever it immediately without hesitation. It sounds cold, but legacy is not built on compromise. Legacy is built on absolute clarity of execution. Phase 4. The psychology of high output. The Brian Tracy framework. How do we translate this raw power and obsession into daily, unshakable execution? This is where the wisdom of Brian Tracy becomes your tactical roadmap. Tracy taught us the fundamental rule of human productivity. Eat that frog. Your frog is your biggest, most important task, the one you are most likely to procrastinate on, but the one that has the greatest potential to move the needle in your life. What does the average person do when they wake up? They check their notifications. They look at Instagram. They scroll through TikTok. They open their email and respond to other people's emergencies. They allow the outside world to dictate the state of their brain before they've even stood up. They eat dessert first, and then wonder why they have a psychological stomachache for the rest of the day. An elite hustler wakes up with an operational checklist. They don't think. They execute. They identify the hardest, most brutal task on their plate, and they attack it immediately. They don't wait for inspiration. Inspiration is a myth invented by amateurs to justify their laziness. Professionals rely on systems. Professionals rely on discipline. Think about the compounding effect of this habit. If you spend the first 2 hours of every single day working on your highest leverage task, completely uninterrupted, without looking at a phone or talking to a soul, you will accomplish more in 6 months than the average person accomplishes in 6 years. Brian Tracy also focused heavily on the concept of continuous personal development. He stated that to earn more, you must learn more. Your brain is an asset. If you are not feeding it high-value data, it will naturally default to low-value thoughts. What are you listening to when you drive? What are you reading before you sleep? If you are consuming mindless entertainment, celebrity drama, and negative news cycles, you are poisoning the well. You must become an aggressive custodian of your mind. Read the biographies of the wealthy, study sales copy, learn consumer psychology, understand macroeconomics, analyze the systems of supply and chain management. Treat your mind like an elite athlete treats their body. You wouldn't feed an Olympic sprinter fast food before a gold medal race. So why are you feeding your brain garbage before you go out to compete for your financial survival? Every hour you invest in upgrading your skill set is an hour that pays compounding interest for the rest of your life. If you can sell better, if you can communicate clearer, if you can manage stress more effectively than your competitor, you will inevitably take their market share. It is an immutable law of nature. Phase 5. The reality of friction and the necessity of pain. Let's look at a historical example of pure resilience, the Carthaginian general Hannibal Barca. During the Second Punic War, Hannibal decided to do the unthinkable. He decided to march an entire army, complete with war elephants, across the treacherous, freezing vertical peaks of the Alps to attack Rome on its own turf. Think about the sheer audacity of that plan. The terrain was lethal, the weather was unforgiving. His men were starving, freezing, and dying by the thousands. Landslides wiped out whole battalions. Did Hannibal turn back? Did he look at the mountain and say, "This is too hard. Let's find an easier route"? When his generals came to him and told him that the path ahead was completely blocked by a massive rockfall and that it was impossible to proceed, Hannibal looked at them and delivered one of the greatest lines in human history. "We will either find a way or we will make one." They literally heated the massive rocks with bonfires, poured sour wine over them to crack the stone, shattered the obstacles with pickaxes, and kept marching. They descended into Italy and absolutely shattered the Roman legions in their own backyard. That is the energy you need to bring to your obstacles. When a door is closed, you don't walk away. You kick it off its hinges. When a market changes, you don't complain. You pivot. When your business model fails, you don't cry. You rebuild. Pain is not a sign to stop. Pain is the tax you pay to enter the realm of greatness. Most people are terrified of friction. The moment they experience resistance, the moment a client says no, the moment an investment drops, the moment a partner betrays them, they take it as a cosmic sign that they weren't meant to succeed. They say, "Maybe this isn't for me." Let me tell you something. The resistance is the proof that you are on the right path. You cannot build muscle without tearing the fiber. You cannot build a bulletproof character without going through the fire. The obstacles are not blocking the path. The obstacles are the path. When you reframe your mind to welcome friction, you become completely unstoppable. While everyone else is looking for the easy way out, looking for the shortcut, looking for the automated hack that allows them to get rich without sweating, you are down in the trenches, embracing the grind, doing the heavy lifting. Who do you think wins in the long run? The person who trained in a climate-controlled gym, or the person who fought in the mud and the rain? The marketplace is a harsh judge. It strips away the pretenders. It exposes the weak. If you cannot handle the heat of the kitchen, do not step into the restaurant business. If you cannot handle the stress of responsibility, do not seek the rewards of leadership.